be absolutely devastating.
Oh! This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.
Lord.
Oh, man. Welcome to G.W.R. Monday, May 22nd, 2023. I will tell you all this. Don't try to listen to Terry Coons talk while you're getting ready for a show. Get you all discombobulated, but
yeah, I had on his live, and did you know there was going to be live food there?
Live food.
Live food. What he said.
No, is it free?
It's free food, but it's going to be live. I told him I was going to eat. I told him I was going to eat a cow.
Barbecue it, you will.
Oh Lord, eat something else.
oh man, I'm trying to share stuff. I couldn't concentrate on what I was doing with him playing that stuff.
Oh Terry, he's one of a kind.
Oh man, but I'm Chris Gonzo'S, joined by Tony Gonzo'S and Marcus Fine. How are you guys tonight?
I'm good.
Yeah, Chris got mad at me. So, what are you playing at when I'm trying to work? He said, I'm trying to share stuff, and he said, "No, I can't even think."
I mean, because he said a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah,
but
yeah. We can't.
Then the live food just topped it off.
Yeah. And that was like in the first 2 minutes of the live.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just went on at 6:30. So
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, we'll get started.
There should be a rule.
Well,
Terry needs somebody with him when he goes live.
he's got a cameraman there, and the cameraman wasn't helping any. He was zagging it off.
Oh yeah,
Whoever it was.
He needs a new cameraman.
Yeah. Well, Marcus, I know you had a real busy weekend this weekend.
Froze my phone up.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you want to start off with that and start off with Friday night.
all right, Friday at the Deb. I'd say 80% full, maybe even more. And I've seen a lot of new people. We're wondering if they didn't come from Comic-Con because there was a lot of new faces in the crowd on Friday night.
I bet.
So it was a hot night, hot as in heat. It was raining, but the crowd was into it too. So the highlights I have for that one, Jordan James defeated Zay Gates to retain the Gunslinger title. Referee's getting ready to make the 3 count, and Reggie come out. And Ref Cody only weighs like what, 80 pounds if he's lucky. And evidently Reggie did not take in consideration how light Ref Cody was, because when he grabbed him, he swung him and he crashed him into the guardrail. And I mean, it's like Cody's all balls up. It's like that had to hurt, but I'm sure Reggie did not consider that Cody's not a normal sized individual.
No, he's not.
I mean, he bounced him off that guardrail. But so anyway, Jordan James and Zay Gates, I think, are going to go at it again this next week on the Friday show. I think it was Damian Real. Might have been Damon Real. Anyway, it was one of the highlight guys. Took on IK3, and that ended up being a double count out. And the main event was the other highlight guy taking on Dex, and he rolled him up and pinned him. And as soon as he pinned him, Dex had this weird look on his face, and IK3 came out, and he left with him. So I think it was a continuation of DCCW.
Yeah.
And I really think those two are going to stay as a tag team. So
that'll be interesting.
Yeah. And then, of course, this Friday it's Blake May Wright and IK3 Charism and Insanity. And I think that's – and one of the highlight reels is going to take on Dalton Love, whoever the number one contender is. But I get those guys mixed up. So
yeah, it's hard to –
I was gonna say I'm glad to know I'm not the only one that can't tell them.
Yep.
Well, I was talking to Patty Burton on Saturday, and she just calls them the twins, And Kelly can tell them apart, but I can't. So
Well, Pete showed us a way too, but I'll be honest with you. I forgot which one. If you can go by the tattoo on the
yeah,
arm,
that's what Kelly does. Kelly knows which is who. So
but I can't remember which tattoo goes with which brother now.
Yeah,
so it don't do me no good.
and then we had Saturday night in Jeffersonville. I give Tony the feedback on that.
Yeah, you did.
My goodness. Did he tell you anything on that, Chris?
He told me a little bit.
A little bit.
Four pre-show matches, 11 main matches, 4 intermissions, 15 matches total, and that's all. That's where I'll leave it. There's more, but I'm not airing that.
So you're wrestling. They're wrestling the what, about 1 a.m?
Well, it started at 6:30 and we got done at 11. And I keep telling Kelly, I said, I'm glad we got a motel.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no way we could make that 3-hour or 2.5-hour trip back home. So, but that's where I'll leave that. They had some good matches. It just we started wearing down. I think that's the bad thing about marathon shows is by the time the main event gets there, you kind of lost your pep.
Yeah.
And after the 4th intermission, Pondo came out and he says, I want to thank everybody who's still here. Let's see what we can do. And we're going. And they didn't even get a minute in the match. And Pondo looked and he says, these guys are so dead now because the crowd just wasn't there anymore. So from who was left. So I wrote down some matches I liked. Austin Ryan defeated Big T Thomas Moore. The Criminal Misfits. It was supposed to be the Criminal Misfits, which is the JIC. It was a JICW TCW joint show, by the way. So Austin Ryan and Big T, that was a JICW match. But then the Criminal Misfits is the JICW tag champions, and they took on Scorpion, and it was supposed to be Hammer. And they're just the TCW. They're not champs. They're just there. But Hammer had to work, so it was just Scorpion. So it was 2-on-1, which made no sense, really. But I can't remember who won it. Charles Colton defeated Jake Elliott in no holds barred hardcore. I'm not sure what it was. Best match of the night. That's my match of the night.
Okay.
They bent chairs in ways that I've never seen chairs bent. I'm not quite sure what they done. A lot of weapons. It was good. Aaron Atlas, which is the JICW champion, defeated Trayvon Smith, which is the TCW champion, but Big T Thomas Moore came out and interfered, so it was a DQ. And then John Scrutch, which is the JICW Intercontinental title, defeated Sanji and Pookie in a 3-way to retain the title, but Sanji stole the belt and ran off with it. And that was the main event, but by the time that came around, it was good, but we're dead tired by that time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And we'll go off the air and I can fill you in on more. I'm supposed to stop there, and then we had Warrior Pro 20 yesterday. New tag team champions Jeremy Hadley and Dylan Cole defeated Cecil Cerveza and Tyler Scott in the opener. Actually, it was the second match. Alexis Lightfoot, which we were surprised, retained her ladies title against Kate Parrish. Logan Myers retained his Warrior Pride Championship against Kenny Cage, who made his debut yesterday. And then Carson Drake defeated Party Mike in the main event, which was really good because Party Mike's always been the preliminary show.
Yeah.
He was in the main event, and they did very well. And then, of course, my favorite match of the night is the Beaver Boys took on Ruthless Domination for the 400th time, but they made it very funny. Beaver Boys went around. Well, Ruthless came on first, high fives, they're fan favorites. Then here come the Beaver Boys, and they went around doing it, and they said, we just got back from church. We did our community service and all, so we're good guys right now. So we knew where this was going. So they get in that corner where we're at, and the Beaver Boys are tagging. They're like, go. Then one get in, and they tag. They tag. They did that for 3 minutes. Nothing. They just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Then the referee says, "No, you guys are supposed to be on that quarter." So, okay. So they go over there. Says, "Is this where you want us?" And then they started to get in and out, in and out, in and out. But then they started keeping score. Ruthless would do a move, and then about 2 minutes later, the Beaver boys would do the same move, and they go, "Okay, now we're 1-on-1. Now we're 2-on-2," and it's like. But that ended up. What happened was then Cecil and Tyler Scott came out, and so did Jeremy Hanley and Dylan Cole, and broke up the whole thing. So now at Fair Fight, it's going to be all 4 teams, and the winner gets the belts. So it was a good match. It was a good show. I'd say Kelly said probably about 40 fans, but it was a hot crowd.
Good.
So I think I'm all caught up picture-wise. My hotline's done. I mean, it was a busy weekend. So,
Oh, yeah, man. That's crazy. Especially that Saturday show.
well, yeah. I got to watch what I say.
I understand.
Did they say the date for the Fair Fight show?
Yes. July. Did I send that to you, Tony? I have it, but my phone's here. No, my phone's still up. I just don't have the internet on.
They got a show June and a show July. But
June 25th is the next one. June 25th is the next show, and the Fair Fight is 22nd. It's a Saturday. And it was a Saturday last year, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. June 22nd is Fair Fight.
July 22nd 's Fair Fight? Okay.
Yes.
Was Glenn was
Surprised Glenn has time to get on here at his $1 million ways.
called Reggie Regina.
Well, they called him something else Friday, but kind of R-rated the dub for a second. But
How's it going, Billy? Wrestling marathon. Yeah, that sounds like what Saturday night was.
yeah, $10. We got our money's worth. I'll give them that. But my goodness,
Hi, Kelly.
yep, Kelly's
Okay.
up. Kelly's wore out too. What did I just say? July 22nd. Yep. Saturday, Glenn, July 22nd.
I can imagine Kelly being worn out. I was wore out today just from the walking I had to do yesterday. I couldn't imagine doing
baseball.
Well,
the 3
interesting
shows
note
you
on
guys
that.
done in that long one.
Friday night, we seen a former WCWO New Era Wrestling, Hoosier Pro Wrestling champion, the Zombie Rob Raymer, was at the Dub Friday. And the reason he was in the area is because on Sunday, he was where you guys was at.
Okay.
So I said, "Oh, you're going to Cincinnati too?" I says, "That's where my podcast buddies are at, or will be at."
Yeah, there was a big crowd. They had a bigger crowd Saturday.
No, that's the one when he went Saturday. I'm sorry, but that's
Saturday. They were sold out.
Yeah.
Almost 45,000 people. Yesterday, I would say there was probably at least 30.
I was going to say maybe even 35.
Yeah, 30, 35,000. It was a nice crowd there yesterday, but being Sunday and so early in the morning, because it started at 11:30, you still a lot of people church and stuff going on. So I think that's why you get a bigger crowd Saturday. Plus the Saturday game was later in the.
Yeah, it was like 4.
I was gonna say it was like a late afternoon game.
4, 5, 6. I can't remember exactly.
But I did get to meet Pondo. Thanks to Patty. Patty helped me get to meet Pondo and Mickey Knuckles both, because Patty's friends with both of them. So great people.
Was that match crazy?
I wish it was longer, but I think it was the fact that the crowd wasn't in it, so they just didn't keep it going. And what was weird here's how weird the whole night was. The guy that was in it was a tag team, and one of the guys that was in the Pondo Mickey Knuckles match happened to be Jake Elliott's opponent in the very next match. So the guy had like 2 hardcore matches literally back to back, and I was like, "What the hell?" One guy wrestled 3 times, one guy wrestled twice. It's like
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we got a big show coming up this Saturday, Kokomo, which we're all excited about. We think that's going to be great with some great cage matches and some other great matches, I'm sure. So I'm looking forward to that on Saturday. But also this weekend, we've got a lot of WWE and NXT and AEW. I was going to go over that real quick. WWE's Night of Champions, which it's going to be Night of Champions there, but it's going to be daytime champions here because it's going to be at 1:00 p.m. I'm not sure what will be the main event. The way the poster looks, I'm going to say it's probably going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. They're doing a great job with this story of right now. The story is more kind of shifting towards Roman Reigns and Sikoa, and looks like maybe the Usos and them may end up fighting each other later on in the next couple of months. So that's been a real good story. Of course, you got they're doing the new championship, the World Heavyweight Championship. It's going to feature AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. That should be good. And then Bianca Belair and Asuka rematch from WrestleMania. But now Asuka's pretty much fully turned bad. So that should be interesting. And then also got Gunther and Ali are going to be wrestling, which Ali won a battle royal to get that opportunity. So that should be an interesting match. Again, that's Saturday at 1 p.m. Then on Sunday, got two shows at the same time. I know AEW is not too happy about this. I'll go over NXT first, but they're going to be Battleground, NXT Battleground. Carmelo Hayes against Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's completely turned bad now. Matter of fact, I think that he's even better than he was before. I think he's a better heel than he was a good guy. I think he's got that Scott Steiner in him, maybe even more than the Rick Steiner in him. Seems like a little bit as far as character-wise. Going to have Wes Lee and Tyler Bate and Joe Gacy in a three-way for North American Championship, Wes Lee's North American Championship. And they're also going to have the finals of the NXT Women's Championship. Have been vacated, so that tournament's still going on. I think they're in the semis this week, and they'll have the finals on Sunday. And then the match that I think is going to steal the show is going to be Dragunov and Dijak and a Last Man Standing. I think that's going to be the match of the night. So we'll see. And then AEW, their big match is Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and MJF, and a four-way match for MJF's AEW Championship. And their other big match is Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, the Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks, against Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castanova, Willa Udo, and John Moxley. Of course, the Moxley and them guys are the heels now. And that's going to be an Anarchy in the Arena match. I think they just go up, basically fight all over the place. I think the pinfall does have to be in the ring, though, I believe, if I remember correctly. So that both of them shows are 8 p.m. Sunday. I'm gonna try to watch everything. Probably, I think I'm gonna watch some of it on the way home, on the way there. The Night of Champions from Saudi. I think I'll watch some of that on the way to the show that we'll be going to, and then what a mess. I'll pick up Saturday night or Sunday morning, and then honestly, I prefer to watch NXT, but I can watch NXT anytime. So I'll probably watch AEW first, and then catch up on NXT either later that night or in the morning. So be ready for to go over the next day for all the people out there.
All right. Jonathan Holiday says, "How are you guys? Hey, how's it going?" Yeah, Glenn will be at the 500 stuff all weekend.
Yep.
Jake Elliott's double booked again this weekend.
I've seen him at both of them this past weekend.
Then we got Team in Your House. Says, "What's up, fellas? How's it going?" Yeah, if you haven't checked them out, go check out Hollywood House and Hypocrisy Jones and their team over at Team in Your House.
Yep.
I know they're live on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I think on Tuesdays they drop their new podcast episode each Tuesday, if I remember correctly. So make sure you go check them out on all platforms. I know they're really trying to build their Twitch up right now. So go check them out on Twitch.
Oh, definitely. And a big news too. A big wrestling show on June 17th. We'll be at Juneteenth here in Muncie, but June 17th in Illinois. Forget the town. So sorry.
In at Lacombe or something like that.
It's going to be Destination 6.
Yeah, that's Macomb.
In your house. Yeah, In Your House is going to be the name of the show. So that's awesome. So
that's where those guys were this past weekend.
Yep, Macomb.
I talked to
Macomb, Illinois, and so that's going to be awesome. Going to be great. So definitely people in that area or around that area, definitely go check that out.
And real quick, I got a couple of things, but within your house this Friday on their Friday Night Live, Congo Kong
is
going to be on their Friday Night Live Friday evening. I know you can find that on Twitch. I'm not sure if it'll be live on Facebook or not, but go check that out. And then also on Wednesday, we're going to have Big Country will be joining us at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for an interview. And then Thursday at 5:30, I'm really excited about this one. We're going to have Justin Terrell and Christian Cash on at the same time.
Yes.
And them two are going to be facing off this weekend in a big cage match with Christian Cash's career on the line.
Yes.
So I think Thursday is going to be I think that's going to be a real good show. Could be some fireworks during that show. So
I don't see us. Those two are going to get started, and we're just going to be sitting there watching live. Is what we'll be doing.
Okay. Yeah, and the In Your House just confirmed the one on Friday with Kong is a Twitch exclusive. So go check that. Make sure you go check them out on Twitch. And Kelly says Justin sucks.
If you go to Shooting with Shane on YouTube, he just did a big interview with Jake Elliott, and I watched it yesterday, and it's really good. And Saturday, I should be taping. We should be doing my third episode of mine live there at Kokomo. So lots of wrestling interviews out there right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm working on getting a couple more scheduled. We got them 3 guys this week.
Yeah, I actually messaged Hollywood asking him to come on and promote.
You might want to try Ivar again. I think they're back in Pigeon Forge for about 5-10 days.
Okay.
See if he comes back to you. I'm thinking I've seen that they're back at the Microtorium this week. I could be wrong.
Yeah, definitely Team
In Your
Cash.
House says Team Cash.
Definitely. It's his career on the line. We got to get Cash and win.
Yeah.
We
need a new champ anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So I know Terrell will be bad mouthing me, so I might as well start my jabs a little early. So
well, I'm sure he's going to come over to the table and give us some stuff.
Yep. And then also the other big cage match.
I'm looking. That's the one. That's the match I'm really looking forward. I'm looking forward to that match. But I'm really looking forward to the other one with the ladies' man Mike King and JKO.
Them 2 matches, I'm interested. I don't know who they're taking on, but I heard it's a number 1 contender match. The Dirty Birds. I want to see how they rebound. Rebound from not winning those championships. Something they were looking forward to. Had a big crowd there to support them.
I wonder if their fans have recovered from last month.
Hey, if Jake Elliott's still on here, are you taking on Johnny Suede? I thought I heard rumor that you was. No, he's still on here. So I heard it. I could be wrong. Jake may be defending his title against Johnny Suede. Johnny Suede will be here this weekend. I've already talked to him, so Jake should know more about that.
Kelly said Mike King better watch himself.
Yeah, because that's weird. Because now the roles reverse as what they were in Muncie.
Yep.
Now you got swapped. I hadn't seen JKO as a face in quite a while, so
yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Jake said he's not sure. He just shows up and do what he's told and opens a can of whoop ass.
Okay.
He's got new merch too. I'm plugging you there, Jake. I got my new shirt already. My granddaughter got her new shirt. So.
Cool. Well, move on and we get started on. Unfortunately, here in the past week or so, we lost a legend, superstar Billy Graham. Not always the most popular guy. I mean, for a lot of stories, some of the stuff I read and stuff, he was at times called a con man, called different things, but I think he was way ahead of his time. I think he was outstanding on the mic. He was really, he was a character, like I said, I think ahead of his time. I think he was the character in the 70s that would have been perfect if he would have came along in the 80s, in the shape and everything that he was in the 70s, I think he would have been perfect. So again, I think he was ahead of his time. Some highlights real quick. In high school, he was okay. It's that time of day again.
Yeah, well, that's
time
what's
it is.
happening. The sun hit the clock, so says it's light censored. So
I'll go ahead and let it do its thing.
see, I do that. Your girlfriend calls you, and Chris's dogs get stirred up. That's just.
Yep.
I got mine out of the way.
Yeah, they're relaxed right now.
That's Marcus's entrance music.
Yep. Yeah, that should be your entrance music when you come out. It should be. Something I didn't know that I found out, his real name was Eldridge Wayne Coleman.
And they called him Wayne, or at least that's what his wife called him.
Yes. And he in track and field, I guess he was a real good shot putter, had a bunch of records, was even looking to get into the Olympics, and messed up and got kicked out of school and things, so went a different way. I think he ended up going to bodybuilding and stuff first. Graham, some of the highlights in his career, he ended Bruno's near 4-year reign and held the belt 296 days himself. And the big key about that back then, the heels didn't hold the belts very long. Usually when a heel got a belt, it was lucky to be for a month or so. They were usually transitional.
Is that when he lost it to Backlund?
Mm-hmm.
I believe he did lose it to Backlund, yes.
He lost it to Backlund. I got, when you're done, I can tell what I got.
Yep.
So
he had a big feud with Dusty Rhodes, bull rope match. He had Texas Death matches.
Fantastic stuff. You need to watch that. If you haven't, it's on Peacock.
Yes.
Watch those matches. It's like, man.
Yes. Awesome. When he went away for a little bit, came back in 82, came back and he destroyed Bob Backlund's championship belt. Basically tore it apart and everything. And that was one of the, back then, Vince got on camera and was yelling at him and screaming at him. Kind of, of course, they didn't say he was the owner and stuff, but kind of.
Was that Vince Jr.?
Yeah, that was Vince Jr. He had probably just started taking over about around that time.
Well, I think Senior passed in 82. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And he had sold the company to him sometime at maybe 81, 82. So their feud lasted about all of 82 and ended in a lumberjack match, which Graham lost. Let's see here. Turn the page here. I can. I can't.
One of the interesting things I found when I was doing some research was that he was trained by Stu Hart.
I didn't know that either.
Did you? I'm going to chime in then.
Go ahead.
Stu Hart, he went to Stu Hart. Okay, what had happened was he started out at football. He didn't make it in 2 U.S. football leagues. I can't remember which two, so he went to Canada, to the Canadian Football League. And something happened, and somebody said, well, you ought to try wrestling, and they set him up with Stu Hart. Well, you know about the dungeon. And, well, basically, Stu Hart was more into torturing him. That when his first match happened, Stu had forgot, well, I didn't train him how to wrestle yet. And I guess his first match was just really bad because he hadn't learned how to do that yet because Stu forgot to teach him. So...
Yeah, Stu was notorious for stretching people, man. He'd just get them down, stretch the heck out of them they said sometimes for hours. Yes.
It was Bob Lucic.
I thought
that's who encouraged him to go to Stu Hart.
I have that name too, Bob something, but not confused with Bob Luce out of Chicago. This is another Bob somebody, but
Bob Luce, yep.
Yeah, I got that on here too.
One of the things that was real interesting, in 1978, they had the NWA Super Bowl of Wrestling. And I'm not sure if it was the main event, but I think it was. It was a champion versus champion match, which would have been on the WWF Championship against the NWA Championship. It was Harley Race against Superstar Billy Graham. And that's a match I haven't seen. And it was 2 out of 3 falls.
I knew Harley wrestled Bob Backlund in the same type of scenario. I did not know.
Yes. It was one of the first super cards ever. It was in the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, and it ended to a 60-minute time limit draw.
You don't see them anymore.
No, I'm going to look for that match because I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I am too. Where's my pen? There it is.
It was 1978 Super Bowl of wrestling. It was at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. He was real influential in a lot of people's career. Well, of course, Jesse the Body Ventura just said the other day there probably wouldn't be a Jesse the Body if it wasn't for superstar Billy Graham. He definitely was influential on Hulk Hogan. There's no doubt about that. Heck, there may have been a Hogan, but maybe not in that form. And also, if you look at it, one that I didn't think about, but even Scott Steiner a little bit later on, the character that Scott Steiner kind of turned into, you can see that to a certain degree. And wrote down some of his greatest matches and dates. So if people want to check them out, Graham versus Bruno, Madison Square Garden, February 2nd, 1976. That was with, I believe that's the one with Gorilla Monsoon, or this could be the one with Gorilla, because there was 2 of them down here. Graham versus Bruno, Madison Square Garden, August 1st, 1977. I think that's the one with Gorilla refereeing. Graham versus Dusty, Madison Square Garden, September 26, 1977. Graham versus Monsoon, Nassau Coliseum, December 26, 1977. Graham versus Ivan Putski, Madison Square Garden, August 29th, 1977. And the last one that I had that I want to find is Graham versus Andre the Giant, Nassau Coliseum, August 17th, 1978.
Wow. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I want to check that out. I'd like to see that. And that's what I had with Superstar. If you guys want to go.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you can go, Marcus.
All right, I watched that thing off the Peacock, so I got 2 pages worth of stuff. Let's see. Well, he got involved with weightlifting, and he made his own weights at home. I guess his brother took him to the gym, and he set up the barbell, forgot how the law of physics worked, if he even knew what the law of physics was, and he didn't proportion the bar right to where it was even on both sides. And when he lifted it the first time, it went, what? And the other bars, the other weight plates went through some glass window and fell down on the people below because it was a 2-story gym. But so he got kicked out of the gym, I guess. And so he got some, I think, like 5-gallon buckets and cement and poles, and made his own weights at the house. So he started bodybuilding. He trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger 1 week after Schwarzenegger came to the U.S. So basically, pretty much from the beginning of Schwarzenegger, Graham was part of that. Like I say, he tried football. He got hurt, went to Canada. Bob Loose, whatever. Well, not Bob Loose. Worked with Stu. They put him in an arm wrestling gimmick for a while. And then, like I said, Stu forgot to train him. He was a bouncer somewhere, and Dr. Jerry Graham found him. That's where the name come from. Billy Graham, and then that's the same year that the Jesus Christ Superstar song came out. So I thought, I'll be Superstar Billy Graham. See, now I'm doing imitations here.
Yeah.
And that was his theme music, actually, when they started the theme music stuff. He came out the Superstar, or Jesus Christ Superstar. Him and Dr. Jerry Graham worked on an Indian reservation, but they didn't make any money. So they went to L.A., and he arm wrestled Fred Blassie, and that didn't go very well. And then him and Fred Blassie, Pat Patterson, they become tag teams. I didn't realize he was in the AWA, but I guess he is a big star in the AWA. He teamed with Dusty. Speaking of Dusty, Dusty got the way that Dusty talked, he learned from Billy Graham.
Yep.
Because of the way they can roll their words and let's see.
Yeah, the cadence. The cadence is very similar.
like I say, like you said, he beat Bruno to end Bruno's 800 and whatever. If you put the two title reigns together with his feet on the ropes. I don't know if you've seen that, but he had his feet on the ropes, then beat Bruno, won the belt, got the Riot.
Yeah.
Then that's when he got Grand Wizard. They had him. He changed the business. The way he walked, the way he talked, the way he intertwined with the fans, the way his ring gear looked. Before then, wrestlers were just plain. They went in, they did their thing, maybe yelled at the fans, but Billy Graham took it to the next level of insulting the fans, and he went from a national to a regional headliner because they were stuck in New York and wherever WWE was, and then he became national. Sold out Madison Square Garden 19 out of 20 times. Then he went to that stupid judo crap.
Yeah, that gimmick was a bad idea.
Vince Jr. wanted it might have been senior at that time. Yeah, senior. He wanted an All-American boy champion. And if you looked at how the WWE was in the early days, Pedro, Bruno, Bob Backlund, they didn't want a heel. The heel ran its toes, so they took him out, and then he got depressed. That's when he took off.
Yep.
And then come back with that stupid judo gimmick that his wife even hated, that he was that stupid judo gimmick. Then he broke his hip. Did you hear about how that happened? When he came back, his first match, him and his partner, his opponent grabbed, he picked him up in that bear hug, and the two weights kind of compressed his hip and broke it. Then they brought him back to manage Morocco because then he broke his ankle.
Yep.
Then they filed the lawsuit. And his wife said, you go ahead and call me up to the stand, but I'm going to tell him the way it is.
Yep. That
you're the one that done it. And he admitted he'd been doing steroids 10 years before that scandal even started, before they even started that.
Yes.
And then, of course, the steroids tore his liver apart. Got a transplant from a young lady who died in a car wreck. So then he was in the Hall of Fame. I think that highlights everything I got off that movie.
Yeah, that was a pretty good documentary. Yeah. It was a pretty good. Yeah, I think he had a love-hate relationship with Vince. He loved him sometimes.
I would love to get the MSG.
I would too. Yeah, he loved Vince a lot of the time. Then he hated Vince a lot of the time. I mean, I think it got hard for him to see how successful things got and the money that people made. That he never made that kind of money. And if he'd have came on at a later time, it might have been him, making that big money. And it probably would have been. I'm not saying he would have took Hogan's place, but I mean, I think he could have been big if he'd have came on, later. So, you get jealousy and stuff. I mean, it's just human. So I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah, like he said in the video, he worked close with Jesse. Jesse looked up to him. Hogan looked up to him. One went on to be the governor of Minnesota, and the other one went on to change the world of pro wrestling. Yep. And he was very happy. And then, of course, Dusty said if it wasn't for him, Dusty wouldn't be Dusty the way he talked. And
yeah.
And that roids destroyed him, all right.
Yep. And honestly, you look at Hogan, you look at Jesse the Body. They both have had health problems, and I'm sure some of that because all the hips replacements and stuff that Hogan's had. I'm sure that's got to be some of it.
Yeah, Jesse and blood clots and everything else. So,
Chris, did you have much on this?
But the other things I had that you guys haven't covered was they said from what I was reading, they said he revolutionized the interviews and stuff with his style, and then he kind of got his style from Muhammad Ali.
That's true. Yeah, he did.
And then the other thing I thought was interesting, he He reserved a burial spot in Arizona next to Eddie Guerrero.
I did not know that.
Did he
He done
really?
that.
So you
Yeah,
mean to tell me he's going to be buried next to Eddie Guerrero?
Yep, and it says in July of 2010, he reserved a burial spot at Green Acres Cemetery in Scottsdale, Arizona, next to Eddie Guerrero.
I did not know that. That's
I'm going to look that up. That's going to look that up.
That was about the only things I had that you guys haven't already covered. But yeah,
Wow.
I thought that was interesting. That he had reserved a spot next to Eddie Guerrero. I guess it's in Scottsdale, Arizona, at Green Acres Cemetery.
Yeah, I'll definitely look that up.
Billy asked what was the outcome of the Roy's trial with Vince.
Vince was
I
acquitted.
can't remember.
Vince was acquitted.
Yeah. Well, see, like I said, his wife said that she wasn't going to lie for him, and so he basically had to call his lawyer up and say, "Look, I lied," and so I guess it pretty much kind of ended it. So
if you go back to Monday Night Raw and whatever year that was, Macho Man Randy Savage opened Raw up that night, and it says Vince was acquitted of, and Vince is right there back in the commentary booth. So, but yeah, he was acquitted.
Yep.
That was in like 93, 4, 5, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I don't think
they're still at the Manhattan Center. So
yeah, I don't think Vince. I mean, I'm not saying Vince told them guys not to take the steroids. I think he probably didn't have a problem with it. I think he took steroids, but where he forced anybody to take steroids, I kind of doubt it. Could he have encouraged it? That's a possibility.
Right. I mean, it's probably a lot like baseball with their steroid problem. They knew it was going on, and that they didn't do anything about it because it was helping their product and helping bringing the game back to life.
Well, in that interview, he says if he had it all to do all over again, he would still take the steroids. That's what Superstar Graham said.
Mm-hmm.
Do it all again.
And see, to me, I think it's crazy because with them bodybuilding competitions that they let you use steroids, you would think that the bodybuilding people, they wouldn't want that in their sport. But I know it still goes. I mean, it still goes on today in that bodybuilding stuff. A lot of them guys are on things.
Well, just like now, I think some of them would take steroids now if they can get away with it in pro wrestling, not just for mass, or keep their
Helps you recover.
Helps the recovery time, with injuries and stuff. So, but I think they found out it's not worth it.
Yeah, and they weren't able to have kids because of these steroids too. They said that in the documentary.
Yeah, the wife said that. Yeah,
he had 2 kids though, with I don't know if it was a previous wife or
he was married.
It was with a relationship before his.
Yeah, he was married a couple of times before that.
Before he got married when he was 19, the first time.
Yep.
And of course, that just went south because they were just dumb kids at the time, I guess. So he was a preacher for a while.
What's up with all these wrestlers doing like eight, 9 different things, being preachers and ministers, and
we know people.
Preacher. There was a reason he became a preacher. I don't know. I can't remember what he said, but yeah, he was a preacher for a while.
He said he went somewhere and met somebody, and just the Spirit of God came into him, and that's why he did it. I remember in that documentary it said that.
We got Mike King, that's a caterer.
Well, Mike King just married Justin Trell's sister to her now husband this past weekend. So.
That's a little bit of everything.
Have you ever seen the cartoon Stewie's on? Family Guy.
Family Guy.
If you ever seen Stewie, that's what I would look like on steroids. I look like Stewie. I lose all my hair, I'd look like Stewie. Have you ever seen that episode where he's giving the dog,
Brian,
giving the dog hell?
Brian.
Yeah, just giving Brian hell. Oh yeah, that's a funny episode. That's what I would look like. I'd look like Stewie.
Well, then you could start refereeing then.
Oh yeah,
because then you'd be tough enough. I keep laughing because ever since that whole referee stuff started. If Ref Cody could do it, Tony, you can.
Well, I think I can do
Just
it.
don't let Reggie get a hold of you because he'll wheel you across the damn
Yeah,
room.
Reggie would have killed me. Okay, well, we'll move on to what you got hooked on wrestling, you know, the who, the what, the why, that kind of thing. So, Chris, you want to go first? Sure. Okay, we'll let you go first.
Well, one of the main reasons was you. I mean, grew up watching it with you, and then became big at that time Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior fan, and just kept on watching it from then. And then that Attitude Era, I really got hooked back into it again with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was my favorite in that era, and then kind of got away from it a little bit. I mean, I still watched the pay-per-views, but I didn't watch it all the time. And then when we got back into doing the independent wrestling stuff, I got more to where I've been starting to watch more of the stuff on TV a little bit. But a lot of it was just when we was kids. It was always it was always on TV, and it was something that we and we were lucky enough we got to go to a lot of live events when I was young. And when you go to them live events, it's totally different than watching it on TV. And I think that's what really got me hooked was going to the live events.
Yeah. It's definitely different. And it was different going in the 80s.
Like I mentioned before, getting like Jake the Snake Roberts, like when we sat on the mile seats and stuff with Jake the Snake Roberts holding the snake up. We had such good seats. We was always up close and kind of got to see the guys, and sometimes you got to touch them. So I mean, it was just always pretty cool. Only thing that sucked, we never got to see Hulk Hogan.
Yep. All the times. Every time we went, that dude didn't show. Piece of crap.
And I was a big Macho Man fan too. I was a big Macho Man fan.
But we did get to see Stone Cold and Muncie. Got to see that. That was cool. Got to see when Brett had turned, he was here, and they got to see some pretty good. Well, we got to see Raw. They taped a Raw.
Well, one of the shows here in Muncie, I didn't go to. You and Austin went to.
Yeah, that was later on. That was a house show.
Yeah, that was later on because I stayed at the
coaching, and
because we was at an amateur wrestling event that day and it ran late. So you Austin, I think did DJ didn't it?
Yep.
As soon as they were done wrestling, you guys left. And I stayed there to help finish coaching the team. Yep. We was at Newcastle, if I remember correctly, weren't we?
Well, I'll go next if that's okay.
Kelly says because of Marcus.
Yep. No doubt about that.
Oh yeah, that's fact.
Well, I'm gonna be even probably 10 or so, at least 10 or so more years before Marcus, because I think Marcus got into it in the 80s, right?
82, yeah.
I got into it in the 70s, probably around 70, or it may have been even 69. It could have been through the 60s a little bit. I mean, because I started watching when I was really young with my parents and all my brothers. And of course I was watching WWA, Bruiser and stuff back then too. And like I told you guys before, my favorite back then, he wasn't even a big winner or anything, was Prince Pullins during the early times. And I did find out he was trained by Bobo Brazil. Mm-hmm. That's who he was trained by. And he was a bodybuilder starting out also. So that was what I started off with. Cowboy Bob Ellis was wrestling then, Dick the Bruiser, Pepper Gomez, who was a Mexican wrestler, which I thought was cool with my family being Mexican. And I got more on that when I get to the AWA about Pepper Gomez and some of the stuff that he did in AWA. He was called the man with the cast iron stomach, and I'll have more about that. Of course, that Bobby Heenan broke in. He was Pretty Boy Bobby Heenan back then, and that's where he got his start, was with Dick the Bruiser.
Yeah, and he wrestled Prince Pullins in his first match.
Yep. And of course, I seen Andre the Giant on my TV, wrestling with Bruiser and them. He run in, of course, the Big Cat Ernie Ladd. So I got to see a lot. Of course, later on was Yukon Moose and Wilbur Snyder and all kinds of great wrestlers. The next, we got cable, and the first show I seen on cable was Bob Luce wrestling out of Chicago, AWA, and I got to see Nick Bockwinkel, Ray the Crippler Stevens. One of the first video pieces I remember seeing was Pepper Gomez. One of the big things he did, he would bend a piece of iron
Now you're talking like Terry.
Yeah, no, I sound like Terry. Hey,
That's
Pete,
something impressive, I guess, if you can bend
Pete
big.
of iron, he would bend it with his stomach because he was the man with the cast iron. And then the other thing he did, he would have people get onto a top of a ladder, jump off onto his stomach.
You know, I think I remember my dad telling me that at one time.
And but then what that started a big feud was Ray the Crippler Stevens got up on the top of the ladder and jumped off. He didn't jump on his stomach, he jumped on his throat and broke his supposedly, crushed his Adam's apple and all, or his voice box or whatever. And that started a huge feud. And I remember seeing there was some of the first videos that, like, vignettes or whatever you want to call them, that I remember seeing of stuff like that. So that was in the 70s, maybe 75, 76. I don't remember the exact time. Of course, and then again, that was a major feud. Bruiser and Crusher was a major tag team in Chicago for AWA with Loose. So I remember that. And then also Loose was just crazy. I don't know if you ever seen any of it. If you go back and you can watch some commercials he would do, he was nuts. Bob Loose was crazy. Then next came Georgia Championship Wrestling for me. And the guy that really stood out for me, again, never became a big star, and probably because of the way he was. Mad Dog Bud Sawyer was one of my favorites there in Georgia. Him and Tommy Rich had the last battle of Atlanta there in the Omni and a steel cage match. People might want to go check that out. Another one of my, I guess I like people that wasn't always the big stars. One of them that stood out to me was Pistol Pez Watley. Trying to say the other stuff again. As time went on, Dusty and the Horsemen, there in Georgia, and turned into World Championship Wrestling. The Masked Superstar was another one that really stood out to me. It was one of my favorites, and he was other things also. Of course, he was in Demolition, and then also was what was the other one? The one that he hated.
Super
Repo, yeah, but he was Super Machine. Name was Repo Man.
No, Repo Man was the other one. That was Smash.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was the other one. Repo Man was the other one because he was a Russian. He was a Russian, and then he was you're right.
And then he went to be in Black Top Bully or something.
Yep, Black Top Bully. He got some bad ones, didn't he? Also Magnum TA. Got to see him. I even seen Piper in the NWA and during that time. And first time I seen Steamboat was back then in the NWA. Seen him with him and Youngblood as a tag team.
Yeah.
So that was some of the stuff. Also got on that station, TBS. They brought out Mid-South Wrestling. My favorite there was Hacksaw Butch Reed. That was the first time I seen DiBiase, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. First time I seen Sting. And Dr. Death was doing those Mid-South stuff. So that was stuff that got me hooked. And then going to Texas with my family in the 70s, got exposed to world-class wrestling. And got to see the Von Erichs and the Freebirds and Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, Iceman King Parsons. First time I seen Bruiser Brody. Another one that stood out to me. Never became a huge star. He was well-known, the Missing Link. First time I seen them guys was in Texas. And then one day I was on the USA Network, and this was before I'd ever watched any of the morning shows, Wrestling Challenge or any of those. They showed MSG shows on the USA Network and whole shows. And I thought that was cool because I'd never seen anything like that. And of course, they showed that's where the first time I got to see Snuka jump off the top of the cage on Don Morocco. Yeah, and I just thought that was crazy. And then, you got all these shows, Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. And there was one that came on USA every day at 11, but I cannot remember the name of that. It was 4 Challenge and Superstars, All-American Wrestling.
Well, I thought it had something to do with like USA Wrestling or something like that.
Yeah, it was All-American Wrestling was the first thing they really had. And then you got the Superstars and other stuff. Of course, you got, fell in love with Piper, and especially Piper. He's probably one of my favorites. Hogan and the Rock and Wrestling Connection and all that stuff. And then, of course, after that, WrestleMania. So all those things, just resonated with me and kept me a fan, just like I'm still a fan now. And, so that was the things that got me hooked on wrestling.
I didn't go into it that deep, but I mean, people pretty much know my story now, I think, since I've done the interview with you and Shane and a few others.
Billy he started watching in 75.
Okay.
Mine officially started in 1982 because of the Rocky movies. Rocky 1, Rocky 2 came out, and then that was before Rocky 3. And I wanted more of that in-ring good versus evil. And I was at my grandmother's house. I'm a third generation. My grandparents, my father, me. I'd be interested to see what my grandmother would think of me today, being as involved as I am with it. But anyway, so I was at her house, and she had Bruisers Saturday morning, Sunday morning. I can't remember what day it was on. And it was G.W.R. Hogg versus Rooster Griffin. And a good side note here now, since you guys know who Shane is,
Yep.
J.R. Hogg is the one who trained Shane Calzert. And that's why Shane Calzert goes by J.H. Hogg, is because of J.R. Hogg. So my first actual wrestling match had Shane Calzert's trainer in it. So, and then I was a big fan with WWA. Then the AWA come along. And then the WWF come along. And then you got cable and all that. But I love Bruiser, still do, even though he's gone. Robo Brazil, Moose Cholok. You get into the AWA, you had Bonk Winkle, Mr. Saito, Crusher Blackwell, which I just wish I had seen him in person. Bruiser Brody, Ken Patera. I've seen Ken Patera before I've seen him in the WWE. He'd already been in the WWE, but at that time I didn't know that. Jesse Ventura, Adrian Adonis. I think who else? Road Warriors. That's where I first seen the Road Warriors. Was in the AWA. Sergeant Slaughter.
Probably Stevens. Ray Stevens.
Yeah, Ray Stevens, Dick Murdoch. Then when I got, because my other grandmother lived in Lafayette, so she had cable. And that's when I got introduced to the NWA. Either that or when one of my grandparents was in the hospital. And I know that's weird. But, the hospital had cable. So
Yeah.
I'd sit there with my grandfather. I don't remember my grandmother being in the hospital much, but my grandfather was. We'd sit and watch NWA stuff. Ric Flair. He was the champ. I think he's always been the champ. When you ever say NWA, you think Ric Flair because he was the champ for like ever. Dusty Rhodes. Magnum TA I did see. I wish I had seen him in person, but of course he was hurt. Career-ending hurt, so I never seen him. Von Erichs, that's WCCW. And the cool thing about the Von Erichs is we was on vacation in Texas one time. I remember that. So it was in a gas station, and they had a wrestling poster on the wall that was advertising Kerry Von Erich versus the One Man Gang. That was the main event. And I remember we was going through Decatur, Illinois one time, and on whatever that big arena is over there, they had on the marquee that Kamala was coming. Abdullah the Butcher. So that's basically how it started. Then, like I said, once I got internet, then started finding out where these shows was. Then Marion happened, Bruiser or a Basher, and well, now you know where I am today. But yeah, mine actually started with a boxing movie, which I know is weird because even though my family was wrestling fans, well-established wrestling fans, I really didn't get into it till after the Rocky 1, Rocky 2. See, Rocky 3 hadn't come out yet. So we didn't know anything about Hogan because Rocky 3 is when Hogan was introduced, really. I mean, he'd been wrestling, but to really be introduced to the world. So, pre-WrestleMania, I'm proud of it.
Thunderlips?
Thunderlips. Yep. Thunderlips.
And like I said, I'm happy. I've been to an AWA show, an NWA, WWF, ECW, WCW. I've been to all those. I've not been to a Ring of Honor.
I never got to Ring of Honor or ECW.
So, AWA main event. I seen Scott Hall when he was still, pretty green still. I wouldn't say green, unknown.
Yeah.
And Kurt Hennig was still an unknown. I mean, he was, but he hadn't hit his stardom really yet.
Yeah.
because his dad was Larry the Axe, who had the stardom.
Yeah.
And so, but Kurt Hennig went on to make a name for himself. A lot of those guys get stuck, like Great Gagne, get stuck to their dad's coattails, and they don't really make it. They're just the wrestling son. But Kurt Hennig ended up going off to being a big thing.
Oh,
Larry
yeah.
Zbyszko, same way. He's not a second generation, but Larry Zbyszko, when I first seen him, was not really anybody. But then he went off to be a big thing. So,
Well, that's what was cool about. I've always thought was cool is we got to see, like we saw. I always call him Ambrose, but Moxley. We saw Moxley before he was before he got big.
Yeah.
Basically the same way Daniel Bryan too. I mean, he'd been in WWE, but he wasn't a big star yet. And he got in trouble for choking the guy with the mic cable, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then before he went back and really had his run, we got to see him at an independent show. So I've always thought that was pretty cool to get to see some of them guys before they get that big name.
Yeah, the first live match I seen, which I've said before, that I can remember was, like I said, Newcastle. And the two matches that I remember, I know I see Bobby Bold Eagle. I don't remember who he wrestled, but I did see Billy Red Cloud and Heenan in a chain match, and seen the Blood live. That was crazy. And then the Blackjacks, Mulligan and Lanza against Bruiser and Crusher. That's the first thing I remember.
Did you go to those with Grandpa?
Yes. And
a
couple of my brothers. I think Richard was there. I can't remember.
Grandpa would watch quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Of it too. Grandpa was, I remember watching it with him on Saturday mornings. And
that's the first matches I remember going to.
Yeah, my first match was Tyndall Armory, Dick the Bruiser, but the first match was Calypso Jim, who is Bobo Brazil Jr. now, versus Supermax, which was one of the World Warriors. That match, the main event was Bruiser and Moose Cholok against the World Warriors in what they called a street fight, but it's not like today's street fight.
Yeah.
Basically, you rip the clothes off your opponent, and then you won. That's how the street fight worked back then. It wasn't any of that, because that also was where you couldn't pile drive or throw them over the top rope or jump off the top rope but that was my first one. And it's so cool because Bobo's still around running shows.
Yep.
Of course, he lost his brother this past week.
Yeah, I knew that something had happened. I didn't know exactly what.
Yeah, he lost his brother over the weekend. That's why they had to cancel the show in wherever it was this weekend.
I think it might have been Salem, Indiana, I think.
No, I think that was Primitive Pro.
Okay.
Because Kelly and I was talking. Well, I'll tell you off the air. I can't. I got to watch what I say.
Okay.
Because I don't need any of that drama going on. But
come on, Marcus, start a riot.
Start a riot.
You got to have more than 15 people to start a riot.
What is the main thing from the old days, the 80s, that you miss wrestling wise compared to now, what you watch? Whether it's independent or
I don't know. The 80s was a whole different. I mean, now the 80s were showmen. They're wrestlers now, but the 80s were showmen. Saturday Night's main events weren't like pay-per-views are today. They were, everybody had their own character, and they ran those silly vignettes with these characters.
Yep.
Which now they're just promos. They're not characters. So I kind of miss that, but it wouldn't fly in this today's age.
Yeah.
I miss territories. I actually do.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I miss the territories was cool because you'd get, for example, when I first started watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, Flair wasn't on all the time. He'd come in for a couple of weeks, and they'd set up the Omni for a big match with whoever he was going, whoever he was going to wrestle, and that whoever that territory was building up at that time, that's who Flair would come in and try to make it look good, even though Flair would beat him or he would lose by disqualification or whatever. It was cool because it was a cycle. Guy might come and stay 3 or 4 and 5 months, and 6 months, maybe a year, depending on the guy, and then he'd move on to somewhere else. I miss that too. I miss the long-term stories. That's one reason why I hear people complain about the bloodline now. I love it. I think it's great because I know it's been going on for a couple of years. I think it's awesome. I like stories like that. I like something that with a lot of meat on the bone. Again, it's hard to do that nowadays because of the fans and their attention span.
Well,
But-
like back in the old days, they had 4 major pay-per-views. Whoever the champion was, you never seen him on TV. The only way you could see the champion is you had to go to the arena.
Yep.
The champion would cut his promos for the matches coming up, but you never seen him on Saturday morning TV. They wanted you in the arena to see the champion. Like Hogan, the only way you could see Hogan, sorry, Chris, was in person. You couldn't see him on TV.
Yeah, he never showed up.
But
So
then,
I couldn't even see him in person.
Yeah, if he was on TV, it was Saturday night main event.
well, yeah, they did that because that was like a
They got great ratings. People don't understand the kind of ratings they got back
I think
then,
one
man.
thing I miss from like when I was growing up watching it is there's not as much as the comedy stuff as there used to be
Yeah.
back in the 80s and maybe early 90s when I was a kid and growing up watching it. It seemed like there was always, I don't know, it just seemed like there was a little more comedy and a little more lighthearted stuff.
well, that's like
sometimes.
Saturday.
Lighthearted, and sometimes
It's like Sunday
Well,
when
they
we was
tried-
watching Ruthless Domination and the Beaver Boys. How many times we seen them guys wrestle each other?
Yeah.
But they made it funny. And Hammer and Scorpion, I'm telling you, those guys are funny. You've seen these vignettes they're cutting on these guys and the Beaver Boys, and it was just hilarious that they
miss some
kind of
of
had
that
to change it up, and it was fantastic.
I miss some of that stuff. 'Cause don't get me wrong, I love a good technical wrestling match and going at it, but it was nice to have some of that comedy stuff because it was different, added a different element. It broke the show up a little bit.
well, the honk
Now,
tonk.
I think that's something I miss in today's wrestling compared
like
to
a
probably
thing-
back
a
then.
thing wouldn't fly now. Something like the honky tonk man. But I mean, and a lot of people say he wasn't very good in the ring. I think he was better than what some people want to give him credit for. He wasn't terrible in the ring, but
No.
it was his character. And
Everybody wanted to see him bust somebody over in the head with the guitar.
Guitar,
That's-
and he was a pretty good heel too. I mean, he was a pretty good heel.
Well, you remember Buddy
And, I mean,
Rose?
yep.
The
They were
blowaway
better.
diet would not work today.
No,
The minute they did that, they'd probably drop half their ratings right there. But
Well,
the blowaway diet was funny.
well, I was an adult, and it even got me. I remember the time that they locked Ultimate Warrior in the casket, and they shut it, and they said the air, and I'm like free, and I'm like, I was an adult, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing on TV? And I was an adult, and they got me, So those kind of things I miss, to get you. And well, just like when we watched WrestleMania, and I called it as soon as when they started to go with Dom's introduction. I said they're going to do it. They're going to do it, and they had him come out of the cell, the cell, and then had him go to the ring and everything with the handcuffs and all. It was hilarious. It was just fantastic. So I mean, I missed stuff like that, and like I said, the long-term stories I like. AEW is way too short.
Well, now everybody has
For
these,
me.
and now everybody has these big entrances all the time. And back then, the big entrances was only like at WrestleMania or at like certain big pay-per-views or for a big match. It wasn't all these big entrances all the time. And I think that kind of takes away from it a little bit now from back then because I remember you'd look forward to like, what's this interest? What's Shawn Michaels' interest going to be at WrestleMania? It'd be something that, or Triple H even sometimes.
Yeah,
he used to always have different ones. You'd look forward to that stuff. Where now it's everybody has it. You watch Monday Night Raw, everybody has this big, all this pyro and everything for all their entrances.
Like Shawn Michaels did the zip line that time, and
Well, even entrances today, I like the fact when the referee says, now making his way down the aisle, weighing in, and they announce him as he's coming to the ring. Now they wait till they're both in the ring.
Yeah.
And then they announce them. And it's like, I miss the days where they announce them as they come or before they come through the curtain. And like you said, there's some of those earlier shows, they didn't have music at all. They just walked their butt out there. It's like, I know the second time I've seen WWE, no, it might have been the first. Harley Race, all he did was walk out of the curtain. He didn't have anything. He just walked out of the curtain, and they started booing him instantly. He didn't have music or nothing. He just walked out the curtain, and they started yelling at him. So that's the stuff I miss too.
Now it's all about the crowd singing your song.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about now.
Big now.
The crowd singing your song.
Jericho and Cody and Yep.
Rollins.
Rollins. That's a huge thing now.
Kurt Angle. You suck.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big thing now.
And even Angle. Think about all the comedy stuff he would do.
Yeah, that little hat. And I think that's coming up on an episode of
Yeah, but I have one of those little hats. I need to get it out.
Yeah.
I'll put it on.
Have you watched any Hidden Treasures yet?
I watched the one last night.
I haven't yet.
Well, you see the Bret Hart, they based a lot of that out of Indianapolis because the WrestleMania 8 was in Indy. They were looking for that coat.
Yeah, and that guy was in Hobart, Indiana.
Which one was last night?
Bret Hart.
That's where they found the Bret Hart coat. Was in Hobart, Indiana. That guy's got all kinds of
stuff.
stuff.
I'm not gonna lie. We got home from that baseball game, and where did I go? I came straight here, laid down, got up long enough to eat a steak, and laid back. Down.
We got home yesterday. She went to bed because she had a long weekend.
Yeah.
And I didn't even do much on Saturday just because I knew Sunday I was going to have to do some walking and stuff. But the time we got home last night, my legs were done. If I wouldn't have been, I don't know why I was hungry again. Hell, we stopped and ate at La Rosa's already on the way home. And then
I don't know if you've ever had La Rosa's pizza.
I think we have. I think it's been a while, but I believe we have.
It was excellent.
We've our only time we've ever had was Kings Island, and it's expensive.
Yeah, that's where I've had it. Yeah.
Well, we had it at a restaurant, and it's completely different, and the prices are real reasonable, and the food was outstanding.
Well, they're not like Hooters prices in.
No.
We stopped in Batesville. Is where we.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch Batesville because they'll pull you over in that town. Kelly will tell you her dad got pulled over going to Kings Island one time. Kelly and I got pulled over one time going through Batesville, going to Kings Island one time. So yeah, you gotta watch Batesville.
Yeah, we stopped there on the way home and ate at that. They have a La Rosa's there. I didn't even know they had a La Rosa's there. I've never seen. I knew they had them in Ohio, but I never seen one in Indiana.
Yeah, it was really good. I had one other thing. We talked about a little bit last week. I was going to go over it real quick and how they did this. I told you guys last week on that list, Bleacher Report did the greatest of all time at Steamboat 23 and Eddie Guerrero 22. And here's how they rated. Career-wise, they rated Steamboat a 7 out of 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. They rated Eddie 7 out of 10. On their look, I didn't get this. They had Steamboat 6 out of 10. And they had Eddie 7 out of 10. That didn't make sense to me with Steamboat.
Well, it depends because Steamboat come out that stupid dragon and stuff, and that may have scarred that count.
Yeah,
I didn't care when he brought that.
I liked when he came out. I liked when he came out with the dragon.
But
I was a kid. But I was a kid at that. I was a kid then as well.
Yeah, I liked him blowing fire, but I didn't. And bringing his wife to the ring all the time.
Yeah,
because that's what she wanted.
Yeah. In-ring work, they had a Steamboat 9 out of 10, which that could have been a 10 out of 10. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Had Eddie 8 out of 10. Marketing 7 out of 10 for Steamboat. Eddie 8 out of 10. Mic work, I thought they hammered Steamboat pretty hard here. They only give him a 6 out of 10. Now he wasn't super great on the mic, but I didn't think he was terrible.
No.
And they give Eddie 8 out of 10. Again, Eddie was 22 on that list, and Steamboat was 23. The other one I went over was Andre at 16 and Cena at 15. Career-wise, they had Andre 8 out of 10, Cena 8 out of 10. Look, they had Andre 10 out of 10. Of course, when you're 7'4", 500 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Cena 8 out of 10. In ring, they had Andre 6 out of 10. They had John Cena 6 out of 10. I thought they was pretty hard on Cena.
Yeah, I'd say they would be because Andre could only do well. Again, like I said, in his earlier days, he was good, but Cena could work. So I would have put him higher than that.
Yeah, Cena's never had a bad. Cena never was really in a bad match that I remember.
No, I'm not a Cena fan, but I respect him. I'm not a Shawn Michaels fan, but I respect him. I mean, because they were outstanding talents. I just was never a fan of either one of them, really. But
marketing, Andre was a 10 out of 10. I mean, he just kind of the look and everything. Cena was a 9 out of 10. Mic work. Andre suffered there, of course, 5 out of 10. And they give Cena 9 out of 10.
How much did they give
I thought
Andre?
Andre 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's probably about right because he couldn't really cut a promo, but he didn't have to. So
Reggie said, "Were they talking about me or something?"
On
is
Mike,
Reggie on there?
yep, he's
Yep,
on there.
He just popped up.
Yeah,
And
we were
then-
talking about you earlier about what you did to poor Ref Cody on Friday. I'm still laughing. You got to learn how much that kid only weighs, like 50 pounds. You winging him into the guardrail like you did. I'm still laughing. That poor guy.
Heck, he may be done. The next,
How's it going, Reggie?
Yeah, Reggie, you're all right. I tell you, Reggie, you've got it. You've got it. I tell you, you walk in the ring or the auditorium, and they start chanting your name. You know you've done well. And I give you respect for the fact that
Pretty flies.
I don't know. But I give you respect, Reggie, because once they start chanting, you walk away to put the focus back on the match. I give you that.
He said, "Oh, is Cody okay? I heard he flies."
He did. I told you I'm laughing, but when I first seen it, it's like, oh shit, poor Cody just got creamed.
I think we should have Congo Kong do that to Reggie so Reggie knows how that feels.
Oh man.
you're wishing some paint on Reggie.
Well, he put paint on poor Cody.
He didn't mean to put paint on Cody though. He just didn't realize Cody didn't weigh a lot.
Well, I don't think Congo would do it on purpose. He's
Well, Reggie didn't do it on purpose either. It was just
to be fair then. The other one I had here was Kurt Angle at 13 and Jericho at 12. Thought this was pretty interesting. Career-wise, they had both of them 8 out of 10.
I'm sorry, who were we talking about?
Kurt Angle,
Cody.
still left. Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho. They had Jericho ranked 12 and Angle at 13. They had both of them career-wise 8 out of 10. They had them look-wise. Angle 8 out of 10 and Jericho 7 out of 10.
Jericho was just in the state yesterday.
Yep, performing. In-ring talent, they had Angle 9 out of 10, Jericho 8 out of 10. Mic skills, marketing, they had 8 out of 10 for Angle 8 out of 10 for Jericho. Mic skills, they only give Angle 7 out of 10. I thought he deserved higher than that.
Yeah,
And
pretty good.
Jericho, they had 9 out of 10, which I agree.
They're both pretty good mic workers.
Yeah,
it's
so
just
I
a
agree.
different style, but they both are very good at what they do.
Yeah, I thought Angle deserved higher than 7 out of 10.
Reggie said Congo is terrifying. I've been in there with him. It hurts.
Oh, yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah, I would have went. I would have went to that Fozzy show.
Cool. And I know Bruce was there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw Reggie was there.
Nolan X was there.
Fantastic.
I'd have probably went to it if we wouldn't have been in Cincinnati.
Well, I didn't realize it was outside.
Well, where was it? Because I thought it was at Deer Creek, Ruhoff.
It was at the Hi-Fi in Cincinnati, or not Cincinnati, Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's they're in a parking like some kind of mall, I think.
Because I seen the background and I didn't recognize any of the background. It where in the world are they?
Yeah, if we wouldn't went to the Reds game, and which I didn't even. I'll be honest, I didn't even realize it was going to be there. It was at the Hi-Fi Annex.
Where is that? I don't think I've even.
Where's that close to, Reggie?
He said Bruce was there.
There's a surprise. Bruce heckles everybody.
But yeah, I didn't realize it till Saturday night that they were even going to be in Indianapolis, and we'd already had tickets for the Reds game. But he said in Indy.
We know in Indy is it close.
Hey, the Dubs in Indy too. So
Fountain Square, I believe.
Oh yes,
Fountain
yes,
Square,
of course it is.
Downtown Indy.
Of course it is. Yeah. He used to run a lot of wrestling there. That's where Rob Kincaid used to run a lot of his shows.
I watched a little bit of the. I've seen some of the videos that some of the guys had posted of it. Yeah, I'd like to win. I've been wanting to see Fozzy. Basically, even yeah, Dad was gonna go. Dad was gonna go. Would have went with his buddy Mull next if we'd been in town.
No, you would have went with.
You mean the guy from DCCW?
Yeah,
he was there. He took his daughter.
What's your problem with him? Or can you tell me that?
Oh no, I don't have a problem. With him.
Okay,
he's a good guy.
If I could brew, I don't have no power for doing that.
Can you bring Bruce from India? Billy said he's seen Fozzy a few times. Well, anything else, Dave?
No,
I know It's getting about the time you're ready to go watch Raw.
Yeah. Well, like I said, next week our topic's going to be we're going to do pay-per-view recaps because, like I said, there's 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah, that may be just you guys. I mean,
Yep.
I'll be here. I just don't know if I'll be watching them, but I'll do that other one though.
Yep. And then we got Kokomo recap. The show
I'll
we're
do
going to be
that
at.
too. I'll be there.
And then, like I said, I had a list of some of the best wrestlers from the 70s and top 29. Going to go through that. And like I said, there were some surprises.
Well, and
that's on, if people want to look it up, it's cagematch.net is where I got that list from. Matter of fact, it came up and it was from cagematch.net. I typed in best wrestlers from the 1970s and it come up with a list. Why they did just 29, I don't know. but
they could on the 30. I mean,
yeah, that's what I kind of thought. But
thanks, Reggie.
it was weird. For example, had Baron von Raschke at number 29. Dick the Bruiser's not on the list.
Well, and Bobo Brazil's not on the list. That's just
Bobby Brazil's not on the list. So I thought that was pretty weird. That's just to give you an idea.
And also next week, well, I know Marcus will be there, so we'll at least talk about that. But if we got to go, we'll recap WCW's big show on Friday.
Yeah, that's true. And then
2 big ones.
See if you can come up with a list of your top 10 from the 70s, Marcus. I know
a
little bit before your time, but
you know who will be on my list too.
Oh yeah. And then I've got some questions for us to go through next week. So that'll be our show next week.
Don't forget Wednesday, 6:30, Big Pro Wrestler Big Country will be on. And then on Thursday, Christian Cash and Justin Terrell, Thursday at 5:30.
That's not really an interview on Thursday. I have a feeling once they get to talking, we're just going to be here. I don't see
us
getting it worded edgewise, unless Terrell will threaten me, and then I might get some stuff in there. But
yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and Big Country will be fun too. So I'll have to get some questions since I'm familiar with him.
If you guys here in Indiana live in Indy or Muncie or Anderson or any place around that area, you're here in Indiana. Kokomo's not that far. From Muncie, it's about an hour drive. And I'll tell you, it's going to be a great show. So you won't regret it. I don't know the ticket prices. Maybe
they're $12.
I think
$12. I think you can still get them maybe a little cheaper on.
You have to go through Terrell and ask them because I know he had a cut off, but I think you probably still could.
So yeah,
with Terrell, the Dirty Birds, Christian, really basically any of the workers from that show will have them. I think. Shooting with Shane, Ricky Guns. I think they all have tickets. So
and then
show up with your Savage Love shirts because the Dirty Bird fans will love to see that.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't know Reggie lived in Anderson.
I did not. Now I know why I don't like Anderson.
He said
that's practically their neighbor.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You guys need to get together and eat.
But Reggie is right, though. There's nothing in Anderson.
Oh, I know. We went to Anderson the other day on our way to.
Other than the casino, it's about all it's there anymore.
Yeah.
The mall's closed. I mean, it seems like about everything there has been.
Real good pizza place there. Arts.
Glenn wants to know if there's going to be any shirts on sale in Kokomo.
we need to get some
shirts, or you want.
That's what he's talking about. The Savage Love shirts.
Get with Terry Coons on shirts for Savage Love shirts in Kokomo. That's the guy you contact for that.
We should go buy about.
Okay, if you're legitimate,
print some up.
Jake Elliott should have his shirts. Christian Cash has a brand new shirt that just come out that I know that will be there. So
Christian has a couple different designs actually. And Reggie said that there's a casino here.
Yeah, I seen him on earlier. I don't know if he was at your show or not because I'm asking a legitimate question. Was Chaos on that show?
Saturday. Chaos was a paid fan that sit behind me and Kelly.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know if
he was not working the show. He came in, he paid his ticket, and he sat with Kelly and I.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't for sure.
Hey, Patty.
Is Patty on there?
Yep.
Patty, thank you for getting me in touch with Pondo and Mickey Knuckles on Saturday because if you wasn't there, I doubt I would have got those pictures. So
that's awesome.
Patty is not what Patty is cracked up to be. Now, I want to tell a story since Patty's on here to hear this.
Uh-oh.
They had one of the deaf wrestlers, and they had a guy that's on the other side of the fence. He's very gay. I'll say that. He's gay. He admits he's gay, so I guess I could be okay to say that. You know how one of them matches start out. Well, Patty was eating a hot dog, and that was another one of them funny comedy because the gay guy kept tapping his ass and all this, and the other one's doing no, and well, he got out of the ring, the deaf guy did, and Patty pulled the hot dog out of her bud and held it up to the guy. And he looked over there. He looked in there. Patty can be very funny. And
Yeah,
one of the many intermissions that we had on Saturday, he come out and as best he could because he was deaf, but we could understand what he was getting at about the hot dog and shook her head. But yeah, you talk.
What we're on here, and Patty's on here. Patty witnessed Chris try to kill me with the trunk. She was a witness to that. She also laughed at it.
I was going to say, she thought it was funny.
She thought it was funny, too.
All right. Do you know what Patty had in her trunk? Pondo's axe or Pondo's.
Really?
Yeah, Patty, I'll tell you, there's more to Patty than you'd ever know.
You cared about
Had a good time, Patty. It was a fantastic time Saturday. Glad you guys could come, or you could make it down there. She drove 6 hours to get there or something like that. And then went back home.
Patty's a great lady. She's a little crazy, but she's a great lady.
Billy, I will. Actually, as soon as I get off here, I'll message him and try to get those dates for you. I know it's at the beginning of June sometime. But I can't remember the exact dates.
And I guess Patty's wearing one of Mike King's shirts that says "cheat" or whatever that shirt says.
Yeah. If you're not cheating, you're not competing or something.
She said she never read it. She just put it on and she was having a garage sale or something. And these guys kept coming up making statements about it. And what the back of the shirt said. And, yeah. But yeah, Patty, good time Saturday.
Hey, the Reds can score runs when we don't go.
I know.
They scored 1 run yesterday. They've already scored 4 in this game. But you got anything else?
No, I'm ready to go.
All right. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at GonzoSportsRoom. Like and follow Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram at GonzoSportsRoom. We'll be back Monday for another episode of G.W.R. Don't forget about the interview on Wednesday and then the show on Thursday because Marcus is right. It probably isn't going to be
an interview.
But come check those out. We appreciate everybody watching, and we will see. And
we'll be in Kokomo on Saturday for AACW. So.
Yeah. Yes. We'll be live at 7:00 Saturday night for AACW. Should be a great show. And there was a couple cage matches. I know there's going to be some new talent there that hasn't been there before as well. So it's going. Should be a great show.
It's worth Thanks the for drive, people. So.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth the drive.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.